I'm guessing that you already know that moles are blind. But what you probably didn't know is that there's actually a good reason for this. Moles typically have very poor eyesight because their eyes have evolved to be really small, leaving them with just a little slit of an eyelid that doesn't open very wide. And although their eyes are technically able to detect light and dark, they can't see shapes or colors or anything like that. However, even though moles are blind, they aren't helpless. And some people might say that they're even super lucky, because even though they could see predators like hawks and owls approaching them, they do want and need to be able to see those predators coming, because their other senses are so well developed that those predators simply go and sneak up on them. For example, moles have incredibly sensitive hearing, and unlike most mammals, they can hear sounds that are way too high or too low for us humans to detect. So when a predator like a hawk swoops down to try and grab a mole, the mole can hear the air rushing past its burrow, and it can also sense vibrations through the ground caused by the hawk's talons. The mole can then quickly dart out of its burrow in the opposite direction from where the hawk is diving, confusing the poor hungry bird and saving itself from becoming lunch. In addition to having acute hearing and sensitive touch, moles also have amazing noses. They have between 25 and 50 million scent receptors in their noses, which is around 10 times more than we humans have. Their nostrils are also located at the very end of their snouts, which allows them to get a lot of air flowing over those receptors. In addition to being able to smell many different scents, moles can also pick up on the subtlest of changes in scent. For example, if a fox happens to sniff a mole's burrow and then follows it, the mole will eventually run into the fox and realize that it's being followed. It will then stop and raise its tail so that the fox can smell that the mole has seen it, hoping it will scare the fox away. Most of the time it works, but sometimes the fox decides that a tasty meal is worth the risk. If this happens, the mole will charge at the fox, which often startles the fox enough that it runs off. Although moles can navigate underground tunnels without sight, they are capable of seeing images that are around 300 feet away. This is how they find their way to the surface after a long digging session. Moles also use their sense of sight to recognize their own reflections in the water, which they do to check if they have mites on their foot. Even though moles can't see very well, they still use their eyesight to judge distances when fighting with each other over territory. Since they're colorblind, they can't distinguish between light or dark colors, but they can tell whether something is moving towards them or away from them. As you can see, even though moles can't see very well, they use their other senses to get by. In fact, their lack of vision might even help them to survive, because it makes their hearing and sense of touch even more acute. So the next time you see a mole, remember that even though it can't see you, it can definitely hear you and feel you out. And it might just be able to smell what you had for lunch, too. But even though moles are amazing creatures, there are lots of other animals that are even more amazing. And if you want to learn about one of those animals, click right here. And if you want to learn about even more animals, click here. And if you want to learn about even more animals, click right here. And finally, if you want to learn about even more animals, click right here. And as always, thank you for watching.